Challenge your potential and the sky's the limit. Join me, Emily Ibbott, in a diary to empower. From a starting point of a love for dance, my life has evolved, but along the way, I've learned so much in how we develop, learn and grow from those around us to elevate us even further on. Be inspired and be open to learn, and no limit will ever exist. Come along with me on my own journey in personal development, but with guests who have empowered me and are still doing so in my own journey. Hello and welcome back. Today's a bit of a special one, as this is my 30th episode, which feels a little bit surreal. So it's just me on today, and some exciting things just to highlight of sort of where this journey has come from when I started it back in October. And it just feels crazy that I've got so many of you listening and also watching, and just hearing sort of comments and feedback all throughout that time. And even when I say to people now, oh, yeah, I have a podcast, I kind of hide myself a little bit. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I actually do have a podcast. And obviously, I started it because I feel like there's such a cloud covering fitness. And there's so much to try and filter through on Instagram, on social media, on TikTok. Like, there's so many blurred subjects. And it's more about like understanding your own journey needs to come from something relatable, like things that, okay, I get that, like things that to me are real, the subjects that, you know, we don't normally would talk about. And I hear questions and things from my clients, and actually it's those little things that people want to know the answers to, rather than some random new invented video on TikTok, right? So I wanted this to be relatable. So it was my mission to do that more than anything else for this podcast. And I just feel like from every single episode, from 1 to 29, I know there's some on my own on there as well, but it's more real people, real topics, and just real relatable, like other people, like journeys, their journeys, more than anything else. My own client experiences, lifestyle topics, there's bodybuilding topics, and it's all kind of stemmed from my own journey, the people I've met, the people I've encountered, the people who have been a part of my coaching, and clients have obviously come on board as well. And obviously every single person that I've had on board and every single person in the future that I have on board as well have empowered me. And hopefully it is doing the same for you as well, for those who are listening. And I didn't want this podcast to be just bodybuilding, because I find that, one, I think people could get quite bored of me just blabbering on or about the topic. But actually, I think there are some real relatable subjects through bodybuilding. And obviously, I'm highlighting a lot of my own journey as well, and the things that I can try and get you guys to relate to. But I think there's so much to take from it that it does cross over with certain lifestyles and gym and fitness in general, that actually I think people find really interesting. And, you know, considering most people, when you say bodybuilding, steer to steroids and, you know, that which most people think about as soon as you say anything like that. And that's obviously far from what it's about. And yeah, so it's really nice to cover so many different sort of a variety of the fitness realm, but things that can be relatable through me to you guys too. And hearing people who have been listening and who have listened to every episode, I have 72 of you following on here on Spotify specifically. And that means so much that people are tuning in and keeping up. I've had people who have finished my podcast and so are obviously up to date. I've had people who didn't know it existed, and then they followed me, and then they've seen, and then they've listened to recent episodes or listened to episodes way back when. And one of my first questions that I say to people is, oh, what episode have you listened to? Like, what have you like heard? Because obviously the feedback has just been so awesome. And obviously there's quite a bit that we could go into with each individual episode. And my top listened episode, I was looking at some of the stats to just come on and speak about it a little bit more, is my own one, my very first one, where I speak about my own journey and where my passion began, which means even more because I think, no one's journey into getting into sort of fitness, whether you're lifestyle, whether you're a bodybuilder, whether you're a coach, no one's journey is the same. And I think it always comes from a place way back when that, it's always great to sort of communicate across. And I always forget that not everyone knows where my journey's come from and why why I do the things that I do, why my mindset's the way it is. And it's truly come from, my dancing and the people I've met and COVID and university and all of those things that really push me to feel much stronger and take that away from it as much as possible to push to where I am now. And obviously I had the boss man, Mr. John Berry, my coach, on the podcast. Oh my goodness, way back. And it was one of the we filmed 2 episodes, which took nearly 3 hours altogether. And so many of you listened to them, and we spoke about nutrition and we spoke about training. But I think it made a lot of people sit back and actually really relate to it, despite him not being, the same as anyone else, his journey not being the same as anyone else, the analogies that come with it and what we discuss through our journey together. And I'm still pestering him to get him back on here. So it will be happening. And I think as well, it's when I got John on, I think it's also sometimes we don't all like hearing some home truths and a little bit of a shock factor. And I think as well, it sort of brought that element. And I have had clients come up to me and sort of speak to me, oh yeah, I really, really loved your episode with John. And I think it also takes them back to how they can apply that to their journey to be better, which is obviously awesome. And obviously I've had a lot of other coaches and friends speaking about their specific fields. Obviously we had Ross on recently talking about his bodybuilding journey, but also things that we talk about as coaches and in summer and people's transformations and photo shoots and, getting on stage. We went into so much for what, how we can relate to other people and as a coach, how we help you guys as much as possible. And obviously I've had Shaq on with knowledge around injuries and all of the physio side of things and training with injuries and training around that. Morgan came in on and to speak about the posing side of the bodybuilding world, which I think a lot of people find really fascinating. It's quite something to go into that much detail as well. And, they're the sides of bodybuilding that I think actually people really find interesting. It's such an art form within the sort of sport and so important that when you get on that stage and it's just really, really fun to learn a bit more about posing because, who doesn't like flexing? And obviously I've had Lewis on we spoke about being a PT in your pocket and, being in person with people. And yeah, so it was so many topics with being a coach with other coaches. And, my clients have also come on board. I've had Kirsty and Jake. I've had my client Steve. I've had my client Faye on all of her transformations. And Susie coming on board talking about being a mama and fitness and the things that we go into. And again, these are all people that have really inspired me. My clients inspire me daily. And it's really fun to jump them on board, even though they really get scared when I suggest for them to come on. And so it's really nice to have that. And for you guys as well, because I think so many of you, oh yes, I'm a mum, I've done that. Oh, I feel like this. And, actually, I really want to push myself in my fat loss journey, but, I haven't really had the courage. I think all of these people that have come on, and Jake and Kirsty, they're shift workers, and it's that we are all human. We all have these crazy busy lifestyles. I think so many people look at us as coaches and myself and, it's really easy. And actually, there are so many things that we manage and we have learned to be our best us. But remember, like, your chapter 1 is not someone else's chapter 1, where they're further down the line in their journey, or where you're maybe just starting. It's almost irrelevant. You've just got to focus on you, but using these subjects, these people, these topics to inspire you. And that is forever my goal moving forward, always. And, it's relatable. And obviously, the bodybuilding subjects of show day, of post-show, of others impacting your journey. And, I've spoken about off-season, and I will 100% go into that a little bit more. I've spoken about prep. And I am really surprised with the stats that actually so many of you have really enjoyed listening and have listened to all my bodybuilding subject topics. So even though that is never the goal with this podcast, I think so much of it crosses over and you guys really enjoy it too. And yeah, it just feels really surreal that this is the 30th one. And I truly, every single guest is so inspiring. And it's ever growing and trying to reach out to as many of you as possible. So thank you more than anything else. And as always, I love hearing what you guys think, your thoughts, shares, reposts, things you have related to. I get so many messages sort of over time talking about the podcast, but from my point of view, I always forget who's listening. So every message that says thank you or for this episode or relates to an episode, it truly means so much. So please continue to let me know what you think, and even other guests, let them know what you've thought of their episode, because they love to hear it as well. And it's so great to have that community built just from this podcast of other people that have been able to relate. So yeah, every listen means the world. Now, this is a little bit of a fun one as well towards to end this episode. If you've made it this far, you're in for a treat. And I think it's only right to involve something to say thank you to you guys and give back to you as well. So I am doing a little giveaway for my 30th episode. And obviously so much will be plastered onto my social media. But as you're aware, most episodes I am wearing, obviously for those who are listening, you won't be able to see my action right now. But I always wear a lot of Emerge Elite clothing. Now, obviously I have actually had the creator of Emerge Elite on board. I speak about her a lot as well. She is also my best friend, and she has this brand, which is immense. Now, I started wearing Emerge way before I was even an athlete, and also before I was her best friend as well. And competing brought us together through that. And it's just so awesome. So much is coming out. So much is being released. New stuff, there's old stuff, there's restock incoming. And obviously all of the tees that I tend to wear have some sort of funky logo on. At the moment, it's the PB Time, which is one of my favorites. So I, on that note, am giving away a £50 Emerge Elite voucher, along with a £30 Nando's voucher, because who doesn't love Nando's? If anyone out there doesn't like it, I'm going to be fuming. Please change this podcast. So it's just something to sort of say and give back to you guys. There will be a post incoming, multiple posts incoming to my Instagram, which will be your main point of call to be able to enter it. Hopefully you've got this far, and hopefully you've listened to more than just this episode, as you're going to need it a little bit for the giveaway. So all you're going to need to do is just keep an eye out on my socials and follow the steps that will be on that post to be in the chance of winning. And yeah, it's really, really cool to be able to have sort of done 30 episodes. And obviously we will be ever growing this, and more episodes are incoming. So this is kind of like the first season has finito, which is really nice. And I think it concludes things at such a nice point. And yeah, just if there's any other topics as well from you guys that you guys want me to talk about, or if you want to get anyone on, I'm in talks with so many people, so many coaches, so many people in the bodybuilding world. Obviously the bodybuilding season is coming to its second half, which is huge. So we are just obviously in talks with so many more people, and also people around the community and the people that I speak to daily and things that I do daily, to just get them involved, that still cover this cloud of fitness, but hopefully we're narrowing it down to subjects that relate to you more than anything else. So thank you so much for joining me. A nice short and sweet one from me today. And yeah, thank you. I shall hopefully, definitely see you on the next episode. A big thank you for joining me on my channel and tuning in. Find me on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, Amazon and YouTube at Diary to Empower. Follow me on Instagram, m_power.fitness and TikTok, m.ibert. See you on the next episode.